Mr. Polu Ešvortu from Kazakhstan. Hi, coach. Long time I didn't see you, so you don't get older. Why?
Oh, thanks very much, Yuri. I think it's working with such energetic people like you in my life that keeps me young.
You put from me my energy, yes? And now I'm older than you.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Coach, how are you? Where are you? What are you doing now?
Okay, well, I'm in Kazakhstan. As people know, after I left Ventspils, I came to football club Astana in Kazakhstan, and I was CEO, Chief Executive Officer. Well, I left there at the end of last season, but me and my family are still in Kazakhstan, and I'm doing some work remotely for Brighton Hove Albion as a scout. Very interesting. It's very interesting work, watching games of players all over the world. And I'm doing a little bit of consultancy for a team in Belgium as well, a Premier League team in Belgium. So I'm keeping busy, but under this COVID regime and the travelling, then like with everybody, it's more difficult.
Yeah, but what about coaching? Do you want in future coach, or like this new job is for you better? How you watch on this?
Well, I enjoyed both. I'll be totally honest with you. I enjoyed both. So I was sporting director in Rostov. I was technical director in Nigeria, and here chief executive officer, which was basically sporting director. And yet I was coaching in many other clubs in 5 different countries, and I enjoy both. So I don't really have a preference.
Okay, coach, let's speak about Euros. I don't know how to start this conversation about the England national team. Maybe you will help me. This final and loss in final is good result for England, like for people, how people react in England. Describe this situation in country after final. It's like 50-50. It's good result. They can go to the finals, but lost.
Okay, well, in my own point of view, I think it's a fantastic result. I think if you asked any English person before the tournament, would you accept England getting to the final and losing on penalties? Then everybody would say, yes, of course. England haven't been in a final since 1966 of any significance whatsoever. So for England, I think it's a major step forward. And I think it's a really, really good result. Of course, this is football. And when the final, you get the normal critics of, oh, he shouldn't have taken this penalty. Oh, they should have not sat back when they were winning 1-0. Oh, everybody criticises after the event. But it's called in English hypothetical, and hypothetical is never proven. So
yes,
it's not proven that if something else happened, i.e. England had attacked more after winning 1-0, or if someone else had taken a penalty, it's not proven that that would have worked. So I think England did really, really well. And I'm very proud of the English team and proud of what they accomplished.
In Latvia is many. I think the most supported team in this Euro was England. I don't know why, but many people in Latvia support England, and many people didn't understand why in penalties young players was these who shoot this penalty. Okay, Rashford is more experienced, but most questionable was Saka. I know, and everybody in Latvia knows that you are close to England national team. Maybe who don't know, Paul's brother is a sports director in FA. Yes.
Well, he was the technical director of the English National Football Federation for 6 years. After the last World Cup, when England were very successful and reached the semi-final, he left and became technical director at Brighton's Hove Albion in the Premier League.
Okay, and but he's close to national team.
Why? Okay, I can answer that question, Yuri. This is interesting speaking to you, because you remember when we played. We played the final against Riga in the Latvian Cup, and it went to penalties.
Yes.
Correct? And we were lucky enough that we won on penalties. But you know yourself that it's really basically a 50-50 chance who wins penalties. I know for a fact that England practice penalties every single day. And Gareth Southgate, having missed a penalty in 1996, was very big on this. He was very big on practicing penalties, and he'd actually won as a manager. The England team had gone 3 times to penalty shootouts, and he'd won 3 out of 3 penalty shootouts as a manager or head coach with the national team. So he has an excellent record for picking who takes the penalties. On top of that, they would have practiced every single day, and they would have been judged. He would have picked the players who were the best penalty takers at the time. So Sacco, I presume, was fantastic at penalties in training. And as was Rashford.
Yes.
All the penalty takers. So, okay, you can say, why did he miss? But you can also say the best goalkeeper in the tournament saved 2 penalties.
Yeah,
so,
but
if you're talking from England point of view,
there is more about age and experience.
Well, then you can say, okay. Let me put this: the winning penalty taker for Ventspils against Riga in the final was who? Do you remember?
I remember that Nikita Kolesov scored. But,
yes, yeah. Nikita Kolesov scored the last penalty. He was 18 years old when he took the penalty. So what has age got to do with it? Michael Owen scored penalties. Wayne Rooney scored penalties in World Cup games at 18 and 19. So I don't see age has anything whatsoever to do with it. The players who missed the penalties when Gareth Southgate took penalties in 1996 was Stuart Pearce, who hit it over the bar, who must have been about 30 at the time, and Gareth Southgate himself, who I think was around about 29, 30. So there's arguments for everything. Maybe if they're young, they don't feel as much pressure. But I don't think they were picked on age. Age was irrelevant. They were picked on who the coach saw as the best penalty takers through the training.
Okay.
And this time it didn't work.
Well,
that's football.
England national team, 2 last big tournaments in Russia, and here there was semi-finals. Here is final. From where this progress? Many young talents. I know about your brother. We already spoke. Maybe you changed some system in England with youth players. From where so many young talents in England?
Right. Okay. Well, it started maybe about 20 years ago, 15 to 20 years ago. England changed the academy system in all the clubs. And in all the clubs, they became more professional. They had a system similar to Latvia has done, in that they had a graded system. So you had to reach a certain level. In Latvia, I think it's A, B, C.
Yes.
And only the A teams play against each other, and there's more money for the top academies, etc., similar to what Latvia has done. That started 15, 20 years ago. But the most interesting thing, when my brother first went as technical director to the FA, his job was to make the national teams better. So what I know, because I've been to St George's Park, their training ground. So one thing they did was built a new training ground. A second thing that they did was, one of the first things he did is they did a study on all the top world clubs or world countries and why they're successful. So they went to Germany, they went to Spain, and they did a study on why those countries are successful continually, France, and why England were not successful. And the result that they got out was that in Spain, Italy, not so much France, but France as well, all the national team players who played for the first senior national team had all had at least 50 caps, so 50 games for the younger teams. So they played at least 50 times for the under-17s, the under-20s, the under-21s, before they made it to the national team. And as a result, all those players had experience playing at an international level. And they had 50 games experience, not 1 or 2 games.
Sorry,
now,
Coach, but
yeah.
in England, there wasn't like that.
Yes. No, before there wasn't like that. Before, a lot of the players didn't want to play for the under-17s or under-20s or under-21s. They would rather play for their club sides. And they said, no, they don't want to play. Or they make an excuse why they didn't have to play. And so the first thing they did was to go around to the academies, explain the importance of the young players playing, explain how it will be a benefit to the clubs, explain to the players, and they created a club England atmosphere at a younger age. And then while my brother was there, they won the under-17 World Cup, then they won the under-20 World Cup, and a big tournament in Toulon, UEFA tournament under-21 competition. So they won all tournaments at a very young age. And these players now, who've had the experience of 50 games at a top international level, are now entering the England national side, which was, apart from Turkey, the youngest side in the tournament in Euros. So I think the future of England for the next 10 years is very, very good, with so many young players coming through who have had international experience.
So you said it's similar Latvia, so we can hope that also here this system will work. It's depend. You said 15, 20 years. I think in Latvia this academy system maybe about 7, 8 years. I think. I'm not sure.
Okay, there's a difference in Latvia to England, right? The biggest difference is, of course, they changed the system, and in England they changed so that the top level players, the A academies, were playing against other top level players.
The same as here.
Well, yes, but with all due respects, Ventspils's players are playing against Riga players, Daugavpils players are playing against RFS players, or yes, Meta have a fantastic academy. They're playing against each other, and so their level will improve at that level. So English players are playing Liverpool against Manchester United, Chelsea against Everton,
of course,
and their players, their level will improve at that level. And so the Latvian players will only improve at the level that they're playing at, and the English players will improve at the level they're playing at. And again, all due respects to Latvian football, but obviously that's far higher. An under-18 side playing Liverpool against Everton is far higher than RFS against Riga.
Coach, I understand, but I don't comparing like after 10 years we will be in World Cup final. But I speak about some little progress in this case of young players.
Yes, I think the idea is correct, and I think is correct idea. But I think there's a next stage which is very important that the Latvian young players must go to, which I haven't seen happen in Latvia at the moment. So let me explain. What I think is Latvian young players, academy players, must pitch themselves against the best players. So in order to improve, let's take another sport. Let's take a tennis player in Latvia. So you have a famous tennis player. I've forgotten her name. The lady, the girl who a few years ago.
Ostapenko.
Ostapenko, yeah. Who did vote? Now she, for example, to progress, had to go to America to play against Americans and play at a high level. Now, I don't suggest Latvians have to go and live in different countries to play at a high level. Of course, it'd be brilliant if some young Latvian players played at top European clubs, but it's not realistic because those top clubs have their own players. But what I think is that the national teams in Latvia, so I would say from under 15, 16, maybe even younger, to maybe under 18, 19 before they should pitch themselves against top European sides to develop. So if the under 18s, for example, or the under 15s are only playing against Lithuania or Estonia, they will only reach a level of Lithuania and Estonia. You will only reach a level of the level that you play against. I understand that in this COVID time and traveling restrictions, it's very difficult. I'm talking in general, I'm talking in future, I'm talking in the past. But Coach, I think that...
You remember this was Guntis Indriksons and Skonto project with guys who born in 99 when they didn't play in Latvia, and I think Tamas Spertie was coach, and they go to play with Tottenham to Germany, like European tours, and from that team is
and I agree.
No, not many. No, I think Tsiganik, Savelios, who now who else? Uldrikis is this age. I can't now tell you, but there is 5-6 players.
Well, then that proves my argument. But you're talking about one team who did this Skonto. In theory, it'd be good if all the club sides do this because it gives more chance and more exposure for the players. But from a Latvian federation point of view, the international teams could do this. There's no reason why an international team at under 15 or under 16 couldn't enter a club tournament and play at a higher level. Even if they lose, even if they get beaten, they're learning and their level is gonna grow. I think
your point is that if we want to improve, we need to compare ourselves with a higher level, playing with them.
Well, not compare. I think you need to play against those teams. Yeah, put yourself against those better teams. The only way you learn in sport is to play people better than you. That's the only way to learn. And at a younger age, where the result doesn't matter, then it's important to try and play at a higher level than you are. I understand logistics is difficult, but that's how I would see a country like Latvia developing.
Okay, one more thing that in Latvia is like 50-50. One side is happy, second side is saying that it's very bad for Latvian football, is foreign player limit in Virslīgā, 8+3, and now we will see clubs last games did well, but in 3 teams maybe only 9 or 10 Latvian players was. So how you see it? Like, you are from Europe, in England there is no limit like this, but I think it's difficult in England. This you need to play in national team, yes, like that. But what you are in Kazakhstan, there is also limit. What you can say about these limits?
Well, when I was in Latvia and working in Latvia, I was always against the limit. The limit when I was working was 6 Latvians have to be on the field.
Now only 3.
I was always against. Now 3. I think it's fair enough to develop Latvian football. I think the 3 limit is a good limit, and I firmly believe that you should have as much competition as possible. I've just explained why, because you need to put yourself against better players. And if all Latvian teams play against Latvian players, then they will not progress. That's the first reason. They will just progress to a level that wins the game, but that's not a level that will help the national team. So the first reason, I think you must make competition as high as possible for a sportsman to improve. And by reducing the limit and having only 3 players, I think this is fantastic for the Latvian national team, and I think it's fantastic for the clubs as well. And the results have been shown in Latvia now. 3 out of 4 clubs have done very well in the second round of the UEFA qualifying Conference League. I think that it's helped the clubs, and it will help the players progress. They will learn from this experience, and even if it's only 3 Latvian players in a team, or 2 or 1, then that Latvian player will benefit. On top of that, it means that many Latvians have to go and seek abroad to play football. And
it's now
there's
coach, and now it's happening, and players are going like it's. We understand why they didn't play in, for example, first 4 Latvian teams. They go to Swedish 4th division, Austria 3rd division. They don't go to highest or first league. It means that our clubs who now playing in Europe, their level is higher than this players' level. I think so. It's my opinion.
Yeah, but you still have players in the national team who play in a good standard, like Aldrich's in Switzerland, and I think that the players who go abroad are bringing experience. They're playing. Not only are they bringing football experience, they're bringing life experience. They're coming out of their comfort zone. They're growing as people. And I think that even if they started a lower division, I think it benefits them, and they will improve as football players rather than stay in Latvia. And I understand Latvia would have a very small pool of players to choose from.
Yes.
And I think it's better to have 20, 25 players who are playing at a top level, i.e. playing abroad in a different country, or the 2 or 3 in the top 4 or 5 clubs in Latvia. It's better to have that than having 40 or 50 average players that only play in the Latvian league.
Coach, in Kazakhstan, what kind of limit is?
Okay, the limit is there must be 6 Kazakhs on the field. Sorry, 5 Kazakhs on the field. So just 1 less than it was in Latvia. However, this limit changed last year when there was new laws. I've forgotten the exact word, but Russians, Armenians, Kyrgyzstan, Belarusians do not count as foreign players. So it's like it's I've forgotten the word, but it's a Euro-Asia travel visa requirement, similar to EU in Latvia. Okay. They had a working which made legally that they weren't counted as they were counted as Kazakhs or the same working visa. They had the same working visa. So now there are more Russians, Armenians, Belarusians playing in Kazakh football, and I think that that's also made the standard higher. Kairats have done very well in Champions League. They just beat Red Star Belgrade 2-1 at home. Astana won 2-0 against a Greek side. I know Astana have a great history in Europe anyway. And the other two teams, Shakhtar and Tobola, still in with a chance of going through to the next round. So I think that's a good thing.
Kairat second game in Belgrade, referee will be Latvians, Andris Tremenis. And
yeah, I saw that. I read that. Yeah. So that would be a good game for him.
Coach, but about this limited Kazakhstan, is the same situation like in Latvia? Is not 100% sure, and always speaking that maybe we don't have at all like in Europe for Europe Union players.
Well, listen. Let's face it. In Latvia or Kazakhstan, if there was high quality players, then there would be no need to get foreign players.
Yes.
So why make it false and put Latvian and Kazakhs in the team that aren't as good as some foreign players? Why? It's just bringing the standard of the team down. It's bringing the standard of the country down. It's very important to have better players to come into the leagues, to come into the teams, to help boost the standard of the clubs and therefore the national teams.
I agree with you, Coach, but this other side always speak that you say before better 23 good level than 40 medium, yes, like players. But this who don't like this limit, they say that it was like when I played 5 was 5, yes, foreign players. That every game there is 6 Latvian on the pitch. They play, they have minutes, and so they are more ready for national team. This is the main point of this group of people who don't like this limit.
Yeah, but that's fair enough. But then the standard will go down. So we've seen with the club standard now in Latvia that the standard has risen in the top 4 or 5 clubs. I know it's been very difficult season in the Latvian Virslīgā, but maybe due to coronavirus, and it's very difficult everywhere. But the standard of the top 4 or 5 clubs has risen. So that's of benefit to the clubs. And eventually it will be of benefit to the national team. That's my thing. Can I just say that as a coach, so when I was a coach, 3 different clubs in Latvia, so you would know that you have 6 players that must be Latvian. And basically they were the same sort of players all the time. Goalkeeper was nearly always Latvian because you couldn't afford. Fullbacks, right and left back, were nearly always Latvian. Centre back, you had at least 1 Latvian and maybe a midfielder. All the attacking players were mainly foreign players because you knew you only had 5 players and you wanted to get the better foreign players, more exciting players as attacking players. Now that in itself...
Only me, I was Latvian attacking player.
Yeah, apart from you, but but you played in Poland. So you had the experience to go and play abroad, Yuri. So you're not a good example. You're an example of someone that I'm talking about that needs to leave his comfort zone and go and play in another country to play at a better level to improve as a player. But what happened as a coach was, okay, in modern football now, the fullbacks, left and right back, are far more important than they were 10 years ago. And it's very important they're creative players. They can get forward, they can come inside, they can play as defensive midfielder, they can make runs inside, make runs outside. When I was there, to start with, the fullbacks just had to defend. And so you'd get a Latvian fullback that would just have to defend. So in all the 8 or 10 clubs, you had the same sort of standard Latvian fullback. And Latvia then had 32 fullbacks, left and right back, that could play for the Latvian national team. but they didn't have many left wingers or right wingers or centre forwards. So what's the point of that? What logic is it? Now with only 3 Latvian players, you can pick players, and I was never coached when there was only a limit of only 3, but now you can pick players and play your best three Latvians in different positions. And I think that helps Latvian football in general.
And my coach maybe listen my point of this situation in Latvian football with national team, that limit is not the main problem. Main problem is the young players, that they are not ready to fight for his place with foreign players. If they are not ready to fight for the place in Virslīgā, so it means that abroad they don't have a chance. What you can say about?
Well, I can go back to what I started with, is those academy players should have experience playing against teams abroad from a young age. And they should go to tournaments or play friendlies against teams which are better than them. In Germany, in Poland, in maybe Scandinavian, there's some good tournaments in Scandinavians. They should have more experience of playing teams which are better than them, in Russia even, that they will then improve as players. And then when it comes to the national team, or comes to fighting for their place at club level, they will have more experience and they're more likely to fight off a foreign player.
Where we can take money for this, coach?
Well, Yuri, I did this in England when I was academy director in England, and it was very little money. It's initiative. Okay, sometimes the parents would contribute. We went to tournaments where we slept on school floors with an airbed and a sleeping bag that were very cheap, and the travel from Latvia is not expensive. I know COVID quarantine stops what I'm saying.
We speak in general, yeah.
Yeah, in general. So there's some tournaments which you can go to which are cheap, which are not expensive. And when I was my first job in professional football was an academy director at a small club called Cambridge United, and my budget was £5,000 per year, which included my salary. And I took 5 teams from under 10 to under 16 abroad 2 times per year. And it's more expensive to go from England because you have to fly or get a boat to go abroad. And we went to cheaper tournaments, and we got sponsors. We raised money in fundraising. We did lots of different things. Initiative. Sometimes you have to think out of the box. You don't need to rely on other people and say, give me money. No, you do it yourself. I took a team, I took an under 11 team, so 11 years old team, to Brazil, and we played flamenco in Brazil. The cost of the trip to each person, this was 25 years ago, was £700. We raised through different events, we raised £500 each for the players, and the parents paid £200 each for their trip, their son to have an experience of a lifetime, to go to Rio de Janeiro for 10 days.
So, so you won't say that don't wait that somebody helps us. We need to do something, like more initiative.
Yeah. And Gunther Indrickson, who I worked for 4.5 years at Skonto, was excellent at these kinds of initiative. You've already mentioned something that he did. And, okay, he had the money at the time, and he could do it financially, but you don't need to wait. You take the initiative yourself and do it yourself.
Okay, coach. You are now in Kazakhstan. I always said that Polu Ešvortu is more Latvian than English. What about Latvia? Did you watch Virslīgā national team games? Did you contact with somebody from Latvia?
Yeah, I have flash score. I watch every single game comes through to me. I even watched the Latvian Cup results. Then I watch. Being honest, I watch the goals from all the games, so I see the goals. I know the teams, who's playing. I know the players. At the moment, or well, not at the moment, but my favourite club is RFS because I know Tom and Alex well at RFS, but Victor Moroz was my ex-player at Skonto. Saulis, of course, his assistant there. So these are my personal contacts in Latvia, who I was very close to. Saulis worked with me for 5 years. So I'm pleased to see RFS doing well. But I follow all Latvian clubs and genuinely, and the national team, and genuinely support the national team and the clubs, and genuinely hope they all do well, because it's a big part of my history and a big part of my life, Latvia.
Okay, I didn't want to speak about this, but it's also a big part of your life and me too. What do you think about situation with FK Ventspils?
Well, it's very sad. It's a very sad situation. FK Ventspils, such a historic club who played in the group stages of Europa League, won the league so many times, won the cup so many times. It's very sad that a situation like that can occur.
Okay. Coach, stay positive in a good way, not in the COVID case. And thank you very much.
I've had my injection. I'm okay.
Yeah, me too, Coach. Congratulations. Coach, thank you that you in Saturday speak with me almost 40 minutes and tell, I think, interesting things about English system, about finals, about everything. It was nice to see you again.
Yuri, it's always a pleasure to see you. And I don't just follow the football, I follow you and your journalism career. And I'm so happy that it's going so well, that you are the most liveliest, positive journalist in Latvia. And I wish you and Latvian football good luck.
Coach, thank you. Take care.
Bye.